Okay, welcome everybody to this week's information session for the 2024 summer programs. My name is Oliver, and what we're really going to do today is focus on some of the opportunities that are on offer here at CCIR. But today we actually have a special guest. We are today joined by Alex Kent, the Assistant Director of Admissions at Harvard University. Alex is going to talk a little bit today about how this piece of research will figure within your overarching profile in undergraduate admissions. Alex, if you want to just do a quick introduction here. Alex, welcome to the info session.
Thank you so much, Oliver. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be with such motivated scholars who are ready to take on this challenge. I'm Alex. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at Harvard's Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. I work in the other Cambridge. I've been in admissions-related roles for around 15 years now. I love the work that I do. In the last couple of years, I've also done a lot of consulting with high school students one-on-one and guiding them on how they can navigate the admissions process and successfully apply to some of the top universities. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. And these resources and these offerings, they're really about sort of giving you that little bit of edge needed in a really competitive landscape. You've already taken the first step in sort of self-identifying that you want to really take on this challenge. And so if you're ready for it and up to the challenge, the tools are available for you to make those leaps. But it will take a lot of hard work. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that hard work will pay off in the end, because every day you're applying for college is my philosophy. It's not just when you're in the fall of your senior year submitting your applications. Every day is a chance to improve your odds a little bit. And that's how you really want to look at it, in my opinion. But we'll talk more a little bit at the end on research and building your profile a little bit more strongly. And some strategies and techniques that I think can really help you to focus. I'll give it back to Oliver.
Perfect, Alex. So we'll circle back to Alex's portion of the presentation after we sort of go through the two programs in detail. So before we get started, here's a little look at the agenda today. We are going to talk a little bit here about CCIR as a whole. Once we've done that, we'll dive a little bit deeper into what makes us distinctive as a sort of online research program. And with that, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty details of the admissions process. So we'll look at the Future Scholar, our group program, and then look at our one-on-one research mentorship program. After we finish talking about the details of the two programs, we'll circle back to Alex, have him talk a little bit about how to utilize your research experience within your undergraduate admissions application. And at the very end, we'll leave some time for you guys to do Q&A. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We won't address them until the very end, but it might be a good idea for you guys to just keep track and take notes. Okay, let's get started then. We here at CCIR have an overarching mission of building bridges between academia and the wider public. What we're really going to be focusing today on are the two online research mentorship programs that we provide through the Academy, the Future Scholar, and the one-on-one program. But if you guys are interested in some of the other work that we do, I do recommend you guys to go explore our website. We run a number of initiatives throughout the year, including public lecture initiatives, where we bring our lecturers around the world to different high schools to give talks on everything from neuroscience to philosophy. We organize nonprofit initiatives over the year, including policythons, essay competitions, hackathons, all sorts of things, opportunities for you guys to engage with leading academics and researchers, gain a little bit of experience, build your profile. They're super fun as well. We'll talk a little bit about the essay competition in a second. We also have a number of ongoing podcasts where we're working with researchers, our CCIR fellows. That's not exactly relevant for you guys, but we work with early career researchers and do these sort of public outreach projects as well. So at CCIR, we do a lot of other work here beyond what we just do at the Academy. And this really also helps make the Academy quite distinctive. We really do try to position ourselves as sort of a true academic institution. And we really try to work thoroughly with contemporary researchers and academics on all our projects here. But as I said earlier, our focus today will be on the two programs at the Academy. And here, what we're really trying to do is work with passionate, bright, young people around the world, primarily high school students, but we also work with undergraduates and gap year students as well. Even in some cases, we've worked with master's students through the one-on-one program. But what we're trying to do here is offer an online research program where you guys will be able to pursue your academic and intellectual passions through a systematic research program where you're working with some of the best researchers and academics around the world today. So at CCIR, we place an incredible stress on making sure that our programs are highly selective and highly rigorous. What we mean by rigorous is that we maintain highly competitive admissions as well as rigorous academics. Our programs are incredibly intense. However, and for that reason, we maintain a highly competitive admissions system. We'll circle back to this in just a second. Part of the reason why we do so is because we work with some of the best faculty in the world, and our promise to them is that we'll find you some of the brightest students around the world today. All our faculty are coming from some of the best schools around the world, and when we say that we're working with the best schools around the world, we mean that we're primarily in the UK working with Oxford, Cambridge, and LSE. In the US, we're working with top 15, top 20 schools, and primarily the Ivy Leagues, MIT, and Stanford. We've also began working with UCLA, UC Berkeley, a couple other schools, Northwestern, and so on. But the vast majority of our faculty, 50 to 60%, are still coming from Oxford and Cambridge. The majority of our US-based faculty are from the Ivy Leagues and Stanford and MIT. So part of what we're trying to do here at CCIR is obviously offer you guys a way to pursue your academic passions. But we are fully aware that for a lot of you guys, one of the main motivations for joining these programs is to build your profile for this incredibly competitive undergraduate admissions landscape that Alex was touching on earlier already. What we've noticed in the past 5 years or so is that research, especially at the high school level, is becoming a trend within undergraduate admissions. Part of the reason here is that we see increasingly competitive admissions across the board through in all top US programs. Back in the day when I was applying to my undergraduate institution, I believe the admission statistics was something like 17%. Nowadays, Tufts, I believe, takes something like 12 or 11% of the students that they're getting. Things are only getting more competitive from here. Part of the reason is Common App. Part of the reason is because we're getting more and more international students. But the question really now is beyond GPA, and in a context where standardized testing is waning, what other ways can I showcase my academic excellence? Within this context, doing something like research, getting potentially a letter of reference from an academic, obviously both of these things are things you're going to have to earn. Even if you get in our program, you still have to get through and do well in our program. But both of these things can be really excellent tools for you to build your profile and distinguish yourself from the pack. One of the things that, because we are fully aware of the sort of looming cloud of undergraduate admissions over all of your heads, unless you're an undergraduate student, then we'll circle back to you when we talk about the one-on-one program. But we're fully aware that a big motivation for a lot of you guys here is that you guys are interested in profile building. And this is one of the main reasons actually why we've designed our programs to be so research focused and project driven. No matter what program you're doing here at CCIR, the ultimate end goal here is to help you develop a research project of your own. And once you've done the 13, 14-week program through our, and you've worked with the mentors and so on and so forth, what we're going to do is help you try to showcase that. Over the past 3 to 4 years, what we've done is built up a proprietary publication database of at this point, I believe 400 to 500 different venues. And we have a dedicated publication support staff that will help you go through a process that we've described as targeted publication support. So what is targeted publication support? Well, the basic idea here is that publishing is difficult. You don't know how to publish, you don't know where to publish. And what we're trying to do is help target our students to appropriate venues given their level and given their interests. Not everybody will be able to publish at the undergraduate level or the graduate level or even the professional level. We do get wunderkinds who are able to publish in astrophysics journals at 17. Those are relatively rare, however. What we do in that case is rather than try to target everybody at the same level, rather than, let's say, work with predatory journals that can ensure publication, what we do is target specific students to specific venues that are appropriate for their level. If your paper looks like it's going to best translate into a poster presentation at the undergraduate level, that's what we're going to do. So what we've done is we've built up this database and we've trained our staff to be able to look at your quality of work such that they can target you to the right kinds of venues. This support program will extend throughout your time here at CCIR and beyond it. So even if you come back to us a year later with your paper and say, hey, guys, I really need to publish my paper now, can you help us? We definitely can. With this system, we've managed to really get our students securing incredible results in terms of their showcasing. Our students in the past have been able to present papers at the IEE and at the MIT. Keep in mind, a lot of these students are simply high school students. The Sigma Psi at Cornell, the annual conference of the Microbiology Society, the Dartmouth Undergraduate Journal of Science, and so on and so forth. My recommendation for you guys, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the kinds of work that our students do, the kind of student experience that we have, the kind of publications that we get, I encourage you guys to go look at the Student Spotlight page on our website. I'll also give you guys the link later on. It's also on our YouTube, also on our Instagram. You'll be able to see sort of the level of work that our students are able to produce after 13, 14 weeks. I just recently read a student paper. My graduate degree is in philosophy, and I was stunned by the level of work that the 16-year-old was producing. I teach undergraduates, and this student is doing way better work than most of my freshmen. So we really are able to push our students and achieve incredible results. These results end up getting reflected in the admissions results of our own alumni as well. So from the spring of 2020 to the spring of 2023, we gathered a whole bunch of data on our alumni through student self-reporting and publicly available admissions results that we pulled from LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on. What we found are pretty staggering results. 75% of our US applying alumni went to top 30 US universities. 30.8% of our US-based alumni are currently either at the Ivy League, Stanford, or MIT. 30.7% of our UK-based alumni are currently either at Oxford or Cambridge. Part of the reason for this is that our students are coming in incredibly strong. They're coming in with sort of averages of a 3.9 GPA and so on and so forth. So obviously we can't take credit for all of their success. However, we do sincerely believe that we end up often being that tiny difference that ends up making all the difference in this highly competitive undergraduate admissions landscape. I want to do a quick plug here of one last event that we've been organizing in order to help showcase our students. So every single year we throw, you can think of it as almost like a big party, but it's our Student Research Symposium. This is a peer-reviewed symposium that's accessible only for past CCIR students. And this year we've done something relatively very crazy and astounding. We've invited a total of 8 Nobel laureates to attend and deliver keynote speeches for our students at the University of Cambridge on July 30th. Some of these presentations are virtual, some of them are in person. But this will be an incredible event for students to be able to present their work that they've done at CCIR, interact potentially with these leading researchers, Nobel laureates. There's going to be a high table dinner reception at King's College. If you've ever watched Harry Potter, King's College has a very, very Hogwarts-esque dining hall. It's incredible. The high table dinner receptions are really, really fun. Um, I actually, I've actually never been to the dining hall at King's. I've been to quite a few others, but that will be very, very fun, I think. So this is one more thing that we've been doing for our students to support them, to help showcase them. And this is something that's accessible only for past and current CCIR students. Okay, so that's a lot of information about sort of CCIR's programs as a whole. Let me dive a little bit more into the details of the two programs. So at CCIR, we offer two basic programs for our students, what we call the Future Scholar Program and what we call the one-on-one research mentorship. The Future Scholar Program is our highly selective online group research program designed and taught by some of the leading faculty in the world. These programs are going to be, we run the Future Scholar Program 3 times a year, once in the spring, once in the summer, and once in the fall. This session is going to be about the summer program, but all the information that I'm making available here will also be applicable for the spring and the fall. Spring is roughly in March, fall is roughly in November. Every semester for the Future Scholar Program, we're going to be releasing anywhere between 100 and 120 different courses in everything from psychology to neuroscience to history to philosophy. The goal here is to design small group-based research programs where you'll be able to explore your academic and intellectual passions and write an independent research paper of your own. So it's not the case that you're working on group projects unless you choose so. Through these programs, you're really going to be developing your own project and your own paper. In order to achieve these final end goals, we've designed the program in a very specific way. So each and every one of the courses here at CCIR is going to be composed of 5 or fewer students, 1 faculty mentor, and one PhD student as your TA. The faculty mentor is going to be a current teaching faculty member at one of the aforementioned universities. And together with your 2 mentors, you're going to embark on a 13-week-long journey where you're going to learn the fundamentals and the basics of the area of study that you're exploring, and you're going to be sort of scaffolded into the capabilities that will allow you to pursue your own research projects. You're meeting once with your professor a week and once with your TA a week. And over the 13 weeks, we're going to build you up step by step towards your project. So for the summer, we're going to offer 115 different courses, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through these courses. If you're interested in learning more about these courses, I encourage you guys to go download the prospectus. In the prospectus, you'll find full professor biographies, full course descriptions, and full details about prereqs and everything in the courses. To learn more information about specific courses, that's where to look. What I will do today is talk you through one particular course just to give you a sense of how these programs actually work. So let's say that you end up taking the cancer bioinformatics course with Dr. Akman Kunser from the University of Cambridge. In this particular course, you're going to be working with 4 other students over a 13-week program where the ultimate end goal is to help you develop your own project. The first 6 to 7 weeks of the program are what we call the fundamental weeks, the foundation weeks, sorry. Here, what you're going to get from your faculty are basic concepts, sort of the big picture lectures that will guide you through the major themes of this research area. In the meantime, in this particular case, because you're working in bioinformatics, you're going to need to know MATLAB and data science. As you're getting lectures from your faculty member, your TA is going to be getting you up to speed on the necessary research skills, the bioinformatics skills that you will need in order to conduct your research in the second half of the program. By week 6 or 7, you're going to be doing project proposals. You're going to be doing things like how to read a scientific paper, how to write an abstract, how to do citations, and so on. Your faculty is going to give you additional lectures based off of your interests. You're going to be giving presentations to one another. You're going to be reading papers that you've read. Different courses will take different forms because cancer bioinformatics is very, very different from history or gender studies. Different courses will have different research methods and have different course structures as a result. What you see, however, is that across the board, no matter what course you're taking, you have the basic same schema. The first 6 to 7 weeks are foundation weeks. The latter 6 to 7 weeks are what we call your research weeks. The goal here is to build up your foundation such that you're in a position by halfway through the program of figuring out where you want to go. The second half of the program is really us helping you, walking you through that process, giving you the support that you need such that by the end of the program, you're walking away with a rough draft of your paper. Again, we'll continue working with you through past the 13, 14 weeks of the program, help you build your project and so on and so forth. So again, I won't spend too much time working through the details of these different courses. We have 115 and everything from art and colonialism in Mediterranean history to startup financing and investment and cancer bioinformatics. A lot of different courses. It's even just super cool to sort of look at the perspectives just because it often opens up the student's sense of what is academically and intellectually possible. Okay, let me talk a little bit about the admissions process for the Future Scholar program. First things first, the early admissions deadline for the Future Scholar program is going to be May 1st, regular admissions, May 15th. We do have a rolling admissions process, which means that you do have an early bird advantage. It pays to apply earlier. Each course only has 5 spots. That means as the professor is making their admissions decisions, spots are going to be filling up. The goal, my recommendation to you, especially because summer is just so incredibly competitive, is to apply as early as possible. We do rounds of review at the time of our admissions deadlines. So early admissions, once May 1st passed, we'll start admitting some students. May 15th passed, we're going to sort of admit the rest of the cohort. The application process itself is pretty straightforward. We now have a state-of-the-art admissions portal. It will walk you through the whole process. However, this is sort of the schematic information that you will need to conduct your application. The first step in your admissions process is just filling out the application form. We're going to ask you for your transcript. An unofficial transcript is perfectly fine. If you only have 1 year transcript, send us that. If you're a freshman and you have an 8th grade transcript, send us that. Any transcript is fine. It doesn't have to be in English. We can do the translations ourselves. Just give us your transcript. Together with your transcript, we will also be asking for any supplementary materials that you might want to give us to showcase yourself. This could include standardized testing, writing samples that are relevant to your area of research, CVs, certificates, whatever. All of these supplementary materials, I will repeat this 2 times because people always ask me this question, are optional and truly optional. If you don't stand testing, don't worry about it. If you don't have relevant to your research area, don't send us a poem for a biology course. What we're looking for are supplementary materials that can actually help us give a sense of the kind of student that you are, the kind of scholar that you are. Qualified applicants will then be invited back to an interview. The interview is going to be technically focused. It's going to be conducted by one of our in-house academic advisors. They're all current PhD students. This is going to be focused on the areas in which you are applying. And it's really going to be focused on the claims that you make as a part of your application. If you say you've done AP Biology, you've done IB, HL Mathematics, that's sort of the level of questioning that we're going to ask. We're not going to ask you things that we think you probably won't know. The goal here is to just get a more concrete sense of your background and how you participate in a class environment. Courses we're looking for students that are capable and willing 14-week process and succeed. This conversation is going to be about your background, but also about your passions and aspirations. We want to make sure that you're the right kind of student for this kind of program. Together with your application and your interview, we're going to bundle things together and circulate them with the faculty member. Based off of your materials, professors will then rank all the applicants and shortlist the candidates. Admissions decisions are again made by the professors themselves on a rolling basis. Okay, so that's roughly enough for the Future Scholar program. I'm going to now talk very briefly about the one-on-one before I hand things over to Alex to talk a little bit about how to utilize research in your experience in your undergraduate admissions. So the one-on-one research mentorship program is very similar to the Future Scholar insofar as it is also a project-driven and research-focused program. The major difference here is that we're working with one student and one mentor on one project. This course structure introduces a lot of customizability and flexibility into both the content of your program and the structure of your program. If you're interested in a topic that's outside of the purview of our 115 courses for the summer, if you're interested in topological physics or 13th century Spanish monastic history, well, the good news is that our faculty are too. Beyond the 115 faculty that work with us in Future Scholar, we have a network of now over 350 faculty members at all those universities. With such a massive amount of faculty members, we're really able to pretty much cater to any academic and intellectual interest under the sun. Rarely do we get a student that's interested in something that our faculty aren't able to mentor. With that, you're really able to determine the direction of your interests and your research. And not only can you customize the content of this program, you can also customize the structure. Rather than have this 13-week program 3 times a year where you have the twice-a-week structure and the foundation and the research components, what we do here is give you 14 one-hour sessions that can be structured according to your needs and your schedule and what's optimal for your project. This means you can do those 14 weeks over 10 weeks, 14 weeks, 20 weeks. You could skip 2 weeks and dive really deep into some books. You can spend 4 weeks doing field work and circle back to the research after you're done. All of this is going to be super bespoke. You can tailor things according to your own interests and needs. And throughout this process, our academic advisors and your mentor will work together with you to make sure that you're getting the perfect experience for you. This is what we mean when we say that through the one-on-one program, you're really able to study what you want in exactly the way that you want. One last thing about a couple more things about admissions here. Because the one-on-one program is a tailor-made course, the admissions process is a little bit different from the Future Scholar program. The aim here of admissions is to match the right student with the right mentor to create the perfect mentorship experience. The admissions process takes 3 basic steps. And step 1 is really what sort of distinguishes this. Step 1 and 3 kind of distinguish this from the Future Scholar program. The first step in this process is that we ask all incoming one-on-one students to schedule an intake meeting with us. This intake meeting is a non-evaluative meeting that is for your information. The goal here is to get you thinking and get us thinking about how to whether and how to match you with the right faculty member. Not all students are suitable for the one-on-one program. The one-on-one program is much more flexible and does require a little bit more independent initiative than the Future Scholar. With the Future Scholar program, you have a lot more scaffolding, you have peers, you have a TA, you have the 13-week 6+7 foundation and research structure. With the one-on-one, what we give you is flexibility and possibility. And because there's flexibility and possibility, that can be daunting for students who want a little bit more structure, a little bit more handholding. Both our programs are super independent, but with the one-on-one, it is a little bit more so. So part of the intake meeting is really just to talk to you about whether the one-on-one is for you and how you might benefit from this program and how you should be thinking about the possibilities here. What kinds of research areas are available for you? What sorts of projects will be feasible and possible for you in this area? We do this in part because your application materials is going to be what we need to use in order to match you and pitch you to a faculty member. We want to give you a sense of how to orient yourself and present yourself for the faculty members that you are reaching out to. With the intake meeting done, the rest of the process is the next two steps are fairly similar to the Future Scholar. We ask you to submit your application, invite qualified applicants back for an interview. With your application materials and your interview, we'll create a bundle for every single student that we think is qualified, and we'll circulate that with relevant faculty members. Your mentor will have final admission say over whether or not you come get into the program. But the basic idea here is that we want you and the mentor, we want you and the mentor to meet each other before we finally confirm the program. This means you get to see who your mentor will be, you get to see if you guys vibe, and your mentor also gets final admission say over whether or not you get admitted to the program. The goal of the introductory meeting is to make sure that you guys are aligned in your interests, your backgrounds, and your expectations about the program. Okay, some words about admission here. As I mentioned earlier, our average incoming GPA for our students is roughly around 3.9. What I'll say here is that we are pretty holistic in our evaluations. So if you don't have a 3.9, but you have stellar history grades, but your math grades are just terrible, we won't really care about your math grades. What we're looking for are students that will succeed in our programs. Again, SAT is optional, part of the reason why our SAT average is so incredibly high. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see two statistics for our spring 2023 acceptance rates. Our summer rates are roughly half of that. This, again, is good reason for you guys to consider early applications. And it's also a good reason for you guys to consider spring and fall if you don't get admitted to summer. Summer is simply when everybody is trying to apply. It's super, super competitive. So naturally, the admissions rates are going to be much, much lower. Let me also say a few words here about tuition, scholarship, and financial aid. For the Future Scholar program, we have a pre-scholarship tuition of $3,900. All our incoming students are going to be automatically considered for merit-based scholarships that will cover up to 10 to 15% of their final scholarship. Final tuition. We do offer financial aid for students in the Future Scholar program. We roughly try to maintain sort of a 5 to 10% financial aid pool student population per semester. And what we're trying to do here is to give a small number of students large amounts of scholarships. So what we're trying to do is either give close to full ride or full ride scholarships for these students. As a result, we're really doing financial aid on the basis of merit. We're looking for students who are deserving and excellent and really deserve this sort of academic support, even though they can't afford the tuition of our programs. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about financial aid, you guys should go to the brochure and go to the financial aid section. There are detailed instructions there on who's eligible and how you apply. The process is pretty straightforward. We'll need some documentation from you to proof of income and so on and so forth. But you will be able to secure financial aid through the Future Scholar program if you're a strong student. The one-on-one research mentorship program has a pre-scholarship tuition of $6,500. We again offer merit-based scholarships here of up to 10% of your pre-scholarship tuition. However, we do not offer financial aid for the one-on-one research mentorship programs. One last plug before I hand things over to Alex. I want to quickly here do a plug for our Rethink Essay Competition. This is a essay competition that we've developed in partnership with our faculty members, as well as the Nobel laureates that we mentioned earlier. This is the only global essay competition currently designed by distinguished faculty from Ivy League, Oxford, and MIT. The submission deadline is going to be May 10th. The prompts are super, super interesting. I worked personally on developing these prompts with the faculty. They're super, super cool. Results announcements will be June 25th. And on the same day of our student symposium, we're also going to have an award dinner on the campus of the University of Cambridge on July 30th, 2024. This is a free entry competition. We're going to have scholarships, cash awards, all sorts of things. Certificates, interviews, all sorts of activities. It's going to be super, super fun. I encourage you guys to consider this, especially if you guys are looking for scholarship opportunities or cash prizes. This is a great way to sort of decrease your overall tuition at CCIR as well. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna now hand things over for Alex, who will talk to you guys for about 5-10 minutes about how to utilize something like research experience within your undergraduate application profile. So Alex, feel free to take it away. And once you're done, just tap me and I'll sort of get the Q&A started.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Oliver. Really great advice, really amazing offerings. I just want to piggyback on something you said earlier, that the tiny difference makes all the difference. I couldn't really agree more with that. What this is about is building this, what I would call a signature project. And this is the way to actually go about that. Because you have to actually engage in this type of research, and it's hard to figure that out on your own. And that's what we see in this really competitive landscape, referred to as a bloodbath, which it really feels like it is. What you don't see, what you see out there are a lot of programs that help you apply, and they're really good at organizing and making sure that you're doing all the right things and checking all the right boxes, but they're not able to sort of engage and have a resource base where you can actually tap into what's needed to make the difference and actually present interesting research that showcases who you are uniquely. Because that's really what the admissions process is about, is coming out and showing off who you are as a unique person. When I look at the statistics of the average student that's in this profile of a 1510 3.9 GPA, all top amazing students. In any other era previously, those would be getting into the top 5 universities. But right now, those are like knocking on the door of the top 30, I would say. And without that extra edge, it's going to be really hard to sort of make that happen. So that's why research is really important. When you're talking about the top 10, top 30 universities, once you make it, past the initial rounds, because you're obviously clearly a top student, then you're getting past the admissions professionals, and actually faculty are weighing in on this. So when you're actually now working with the same type of faculty who are looking at these essays and seeing how students are organizing themselves and writing, it's huge. And so all this work that you do in these types of programs actually pays off in the end in a number of ways. One, it's going to help you with your supplemental essays, which are so important. Writing really makes all the difference, and writing is really hard for everyone. Writers, authors, they're always working to get better at writing. No one ever feels like they're a perfect writer. And so that's what students really need to be working on, is how do you express yourself in these opportunities in the application? Because it's really difficult to show off who you are in a college application. They don't give you many opportunities. A lot of things are blue sky and vague. So you really need to be able to stand out. And this is a way to do that. Most of the top students that are getting admitted to the top universities, they're not only nailing I'm coming at this from a US perspective, so I'll be talking about the Common App, but candidacy building, as we call it, or as I refer to it, applies, throughout the world and UK universities. So it's all applicable. But you have space to, sort of organize your top 10 activities and things that showcase what you're doing, who you are, jobs, research, extracurricular activities, and all that good stuff. But beyond that, you really want to be building towards something more than that, and that's a CV. So there's even space for additional materials. You want to have so much to talk about that you need to be able to organize a resume, a CV. And so this is also a way to sort of be able to enhance things like that. So when you work with college faculty, university faculty, they don't sugarcoat it. They will push you and really make you work hard and deliver results. And that's only going to help in what you're ultimately trying to do here. And then when you're actually on campus, you've already demonstrated why you should be there, and so you're not even intimidated that you're in a top university with all the top minds of your generation. You feel like you belong there. Everyone's going to go through what we call the imposter syndrome, no matter where you are, feeling like you're a little inadequate or you don't belong there. But as long as you realize that virtually everyone who's not a complete narcissist feels that as well. And so once you have that, you can have the confidence to showcase who you are and to bring out your uniqueness. And you really, the students that are ambitious, they need to be able to build from within. And so you really need to be looking at what interests you, when figuring out how you want to showcase and what research you want to do. You don't want to be asking what's the hot topic or what's the best way, what's the sort of the tip and the trick that college admissions are looking for. I just think that's really sort of bad advice that's out there. You just want to be thinking, building yourself up the best possible and not thinking about sort of gaming the system in any way. Because that's really what it's about. Those types of applications are sniffed out so quickly. It really comes true who are the sort of the unique top students. In many ways, students of literature, Tolstoy, he had a famous saying that all happy families are the same and all unhappy families are uniquely unhappy. It applies a little bit with college applications. All applications that are successful have a lot of great things in common, and a lot of applications that just don't make the cut don't do it for various reasons. And some of those reasons are really related to writing. You may see a lot of students in the news that have top SAT scores, top GPAs, great letters of recommendation, a great activity list, and they don't get into the top schools. They get bad results. And dollars to donuts, in an old expression, it's probably because of their writing and it's not coming through. The other thing you want to be thinking about is letters of recommendation. So when you're going through these processes, you're going to have people that are vouching for you, that you're teachers, but also you'll have an opportunity to get supplemental reference letters and support. And those can be really important and game changers as well. And those can only be earned. And so when you when you engage with a professor who really takes a shine to you, that's super impressive, and that is something you want to be thinking about when you're going through this. You really want to be trying to get the most out of these opportunities and not asking what do I need to do, asking them what you need to do. You want to be sort of asking the right questions of how do I push myself further.
Great,
Um,
Alex.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's basically the major points that I want to talk about. And yeah, the publications part, so important, so hard to figure out how to do that. And this is really the only sort of outfit that actually has the resources put together for you to actually navigate that landscape. Otherwise, you don't really know what you're doing out there, and there's not many resources available to help you with that. Google can't help. A lot of these companies out there that offer services don't really have the keys either. So it's really important to be able to navigate that. So yeah, I'll turn it back
yeah.
over to you, Oliver.
Thank you so much, Alex. And I do want to sort of echo a lot of the points that you just made, especially with regards to publication. One thing that we see is there are certain outfits that quote unquote guarantee publication. And the way they do that is by working with what are called predatory journals. These are pay-to-play venues that really, if anything, harm your application ultimately. It demonstrates a lack of academic integrity. And as anybody involved in higher education knows, violations of academic integrity really are the major sin of higher education. Plagiarism, predatory journals, both fall under that category. So we're really trying to help our students here at CCIR. I'm going to open up the floor for Q&As in just a second. What I want to do quickly is just remind you guys of three things. One is that if you want to learn a little bit more about the programs in detail, I encourage you guys to download the prospectus. There you will find detailed information about all the courses and as well as sort of information about how to apply and so on. There's a detailed application guideline that you'll get through the packet as well. On the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you see my email and our Instagram. I do recommend you guys to go check out the Instagram. And the main reason for that is that we have a lot of short student interviews there that will give you a sense of what student life is like at CCIR, what kind of projects you'll be able to do by the end of 13, 14 weeks. On the right-hand side of the screen, you have the admissions deadlines for the Future Scholar Program, which are May 1st and May 15th, respectively, for early and regular. We have rolling admissions for the Future Scholar, which again gives you an edge as at the early admission stage. The program start date will roughly be in June. And again, for the one-on-one program, there is no admissions deadline because it's a program that is open and rolling throughout the year. With that, I'm going to stop sharing screen and look at some of these questions.